Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an awesome life. Coffee, talk, chat, we're going to go into the I Am Discourses today. Channeled work by Ascended Master Saint Germain. That just sounds powerful, right? Doesn't it, Ascended Master? We're going to get right into it. What is I Am? I Am is declaration. I Am says everything. What are you claiming? You wield the power of the universe. You are perfection. You are nothing but the power of the universe. Allowed to experience this human, whatever it is we're doing here, in a human body, and allowed to decide what you're going to do with your power or believe whether or not you even have it. And we as humans are starting to discover. We as humans are starting to discover that we have it. What is it? Anything you want. When you came here as perfect, all-powerful. And we believed that we were none of the above, and that we have to gain that. And we spend our lives trying to figure out how to manifest things when we are actually the power of the universe that can do any of that at any moment. When we stop believing that there's a technique or somebody else that can tell us what to do. Now teachers like myself give you these practices so that you can own them and claim them yourselves, right? That you can recognize, wait a minute, I can do this anytime on my own. I am that very power. I am that abundance. I am worthy, beautiful, light, and love. I am is a declaration. And this whole book is helping you to recognize that every thought, feeling, and action is a declaration of I am to the universe. And it, quantum field, gives it to you with no delay. There's no delay in that. Here's the good news. You can transform anything. Page 7 of the I Am Discourses. And I'm actually taking you through the entire book. I'm not skipping anything. But I'm going to do segments so that we can really drive it home. We won't have to get very far before you're creating miracles. The Western world, that would include my country, the United States, likes to fool itself with the idea that it refuses to accept the ancient and Eastern idea of sorcery. In other words, the misuse of the spiritual powers. Right? So isn't that funny? We can actually do anything. We can levitate, we can manifest anything. We can, miracles, right? Christ, these things you shall do and more. Now, when we see other people doing it, and of course, many have misused it, we call it sorcery. We believe that it's something outside of ourselves. So it's sorcery. In other words, we don't believe that we all have that ability and that is not sorcery. It's just spiritual powers being misused. The worst kind of sorcery is being used in the political fields today. Wow, I don't know when this was written, but not much has changed. That has ever been known in the history of mankind through the use of mental power, wrongly qualified. Now, I want to just share something with you. This power of I Am can be used on any frequency. I am abundant, all-knowing, all blah, blah, blah. Now, if your intentions and your frequency is low, you will misuse it, and that's the sorcery he's referring to. It's used for negative means. So you can manifest absolutely anything on any frequency, provided that you believe it and you claim I am, and there's no obstacle between you and that which you know you are. And this is why those in power who have misused that power and that wealth have been able to go into those spaces and experience what appears to be good, but they misuse it. They have no question that they wield that power. And that's how they're doing it. Unfortunately, they're using it on a lower level, and the end result's going to be very bad for them. If this same tremendous mental force that the governments and the people in power are misusing were used in just the reverse way to know that there is only God in action in every individual filling official places, the sender of that quality or truth would not only be free himself, but the political world would be filled with freedom and justice. Then we would experience a natural world, a world of God in action, everywhere present. If this same tremendous mental force were used in just the reversed way, to know that there is only God in action in every individual. So I'm going to explain what this is. The Western world has been looking at the power that we all have. That is sorcery. So we're looking at the governments and that is evil and rotten. Now they are, many are on a lower frequency and misusing it. If every person, all right, this is probably not what you think it is. If every individual were to look at all of them and recognize that that is also God in action, we could reverse it. If this same tremendous mental force were used in just the reverse way to know, that's us, not them, to know that there is only God in action in every individual filling official places. He's not saying that the people in those positions misusing it are to think that God is flowing through them. They're already using their power. The other ones who see them as evil and sorcery and all this other stuff, well, we don't use the word sorcery. If we were to look at them and know that there is only God in action in every individual filling official places, the sender, us, not the political figures, believing that, the sender of that quality or truth would not only be free himself, but the political world will be filled with freedom and justice. Why is that? We are now creating that. When you believe that those people are evil and things, this is like watching the news, right? You're believing that that world exists and that power and that negativity and that struggle is being sent out to them. Your power is, you have that kind of power. You send that power and there becomes conflict between you and them. You see them as evil, then they are evil. Let's put aside what they personally are doing, what their reality is. You are now creating your world where they are evil and that they are just not in connection with the one. They are. That power of God flows through them equally. But if you know this and recognize it, then you are now sending, this is where compassion and light and love comes in in your worst enemy. This is exactly what he's saying. He's not saying that they need to change. He's saying that if every person looked at that differently and sent that instead of the negative message of battle and they need to change and all that, that's you creating your own negative reality and taking your frequency down by not seeing them as equal, seeing them as a violator of everything. Don't judge it. There is only God in action. Look at these people. There's only God in action in every individual filling official places. It's only God in action. They're choosing certain actions, but they're still God in action. All right? Now, some of you don't believe that. Some of you may say, no, that's Satan in action. I don't believe there's a Satan. I don't believe there's a hell. I think that's all created. Where did that come from? I don't believe that out in the cosmos. That's a human thing that was instilled in us. And somebody said, well, it's in the Bible. I don't want to get into the Bible because I've never read the Bible. And all I can tell you is that man has created almost everything that you hear and see and read. And even the Bible, as we know, is missing so many chapters, sections. which they have found. So what can you believe? We have been imprinted, imposed, things have been imposed on us to keep us in position by those higher ups. And if we send them and see them differently, it will change. Can you do that? The biggest challenge of all, the way that you can raise your frequency, the biggest one is forgiveness. It's forgiveness. All right? We would all experience a natural world, a world of God in action, everywhere present. It is today as it was one time in Egypt. Well, today is, I don't know when this was written. Those who misuse the mental power are binding themselves to the rack of inharmony, embodiment after embodiment. Your very thoughts that anybody else is evil, that they're not equal to you, that they are not capable of going back up to that higher frequency, they could do it in a nanosecond, keeps you in that lower frequency, keeps you in that lower thinking. Let me quote this once more. The whole work of a teacher, oh no, wait a minute. Oops. Oh, I went to the next page. It is today that it was at one time in Egypt. Those who misuse the mental power are binding themselves to the rack of inharmony, embodiment after embodiment. Again, that includes the person who looks at the government official, the violator, the abuser, or everything as something evil that is not godly. Everything is God. Everything is I am. This whole book talks about I am is not just you, and that there's something separate. I am is all of us. When you see that beauty, this is what God does. Loves us unconditionally. Everything you've ever done, I've ever done, totally forgiven. There is no judgment, just love. And allowing us to experience all of the frailties, coming back to what we are and recognizing we are all just one I am. It's beautiful, it's perfect. This is just a play. Don't get hung up on it. Don't be pointing fingers at somebody else. They are equally as beautiful, perfection that you are. They're just allowed to use it the way you are allowed to use it. Let us use it properly. That means your thoughts about that person must be in check for you to go to that higher frequency. And we discount that. We say because we're good people and we're thinking good things, and then we think that thought we have about somebody else, the government, whatever. We think that negative thought we're having doesn't count because they're evil and they're doing bad things. That very thought is creating it, is fueling it, is keeping you in the reality where they are the opposition. I know. This is deep stuff. Even those thoughts must change. See the God in them. See the beauty in them. You don't have to love them or say, they're beautiful beings. Just say, that is God's force expressing itself. It is equal to me. Find the compassion. Do not find the fault, because you should be concentrating on your own reality and light and love to create your world, which contributes to the collective consciousness. We continue to do that, and then we start to take it up and up and up and up, and that's the fifth dimension, when we actually do not see blame in all of those going. And if they decide to stay in the third dimension, they won't come into our world. They won't be in our world. But we will have no negative thoughts about them or what they are or what they're choosing. We'll just say, well, there's an energy that chose that reality. That's it. No other thought behind that. That's a tough one. Are you watching the news? Shut it down. Are you watching conspiracy theories? Shut them down. Anything negative. If they go into that space, the blame game, walk from it. It pollutes your energy. You are energy. It's not just your thoughts. Your whole field is polluted. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. This is fun. I'm loving the I Am Discourses. Namaste.